If you've ever found yourself lying awake at night, wondering if there's more to life than the daily grind, trying to hold it all together at work, for your family, and for that dream you secretly can't stop thinking about, I want you to know something. You're not alone. I see you because I was you. Back in 2008, everything that I thought I could count on, my health, my security, my sense of purpose, collapsed in an instant after a near-death experience. Lying in that hospital bed, one terrifying question echoed louder than anything else. Is this really the life I'm meant to live? That moment cracked me wide open. And out of that breakdown came a breakthrough. Through this unforeseen circumstance, I made the decision to build a business that honors my values, my freedom, and allowed me to serve others in a deep and meaningful way. In this episode of the Unleash Your Ambition podcast, I finally share that story. And I'm joined by Keena Nelson. She's a powerful goal success life coach who knows exactly what it means to turn a vision into something real, even when you're balancing a full-time career and a family. Together, we talk about what it really takes to rise from rock bottom, to take bold leaps without a safety net, and create a business that's actually sustainable and profitable without running yourself to the ground. If you're ready to stop waiting for the right time and start moving towards the life that you know deep down is possible, then this episode is for you. All right, grab your pen, your paper, and your favorite drink and get the most out of this episode.
How did you get started?
Listen up. This is a great story. And I used to not think it was so great just because when I was going through it, it did not empower me whatsoever. So, a little bit of context before I get into like when I started online, which was in 2008. The whole landscape online is completely different than it was back in 2008. So I really didn't know much about the online space. So I grew up in a household where my parents love them. You know, I grew up, you got to get your education, you got to find that career, you stay at that career until you retire. Never sounded right to me, but I didn't know any other way. I even struggled like during my last couple of years in high school because I just didn't want to be there. I was just so done with it. And that's when I realized like there's something wrong. At first, I thought there was something wrong with me, but it's just I was not in an environment to thrive. So I did a lot of job hopping up until 2004, maybe 2003. And I ended up getting the career at UT Health Science Center in San Antonio. So it was a government job. I love that job. You know, I really did. But there came a point to where number one, I was feeling a little bored but the benefits were there. I got retirement, sick leave, paid sick leave, vacation. I knew exactly what I was getting every month. The people I work with were great, but I felt this like unease. You know, like I felt that I was get ready to job hop again. In 2007, I started getting sick. I was just thinking it's gonna go away, you know. So it got to a point to where I needed to go to the emergency room because I know this is TMI, but I mean this is the truth, and this is something that happens to people when their bodies start shutting down and their body's septic. But I went to the restroom and my urine was like the darkest tea color I had ever seen. And that scared me because I knew that there was something wrong. And on top of that, I felt like I was dying. It is a crazy feeling when you know that you're dying. Like nobody needs to tell you you're dying. And I went to the emergency room and my doctor was literally upset with me. He said, "Why did you wait so long? Why did you wait so long to get here?" He said, if your enzyme levels were like, I think it was like a 10 to 20% higher than what they were when I came in with, he
Mhm.
said I would be dead. I was so close on death's door that I didn't I didn't realize it. Like I should have acted a lot sooner. But back then, I had never experienced anything like that before, you know, and plus I was in my 20s. I don't know about you, but in your 20s, sometimes you think you're invincible, that death is something that's not going to affect you until you're older. I heard what he said, but I was like thinking I was going to get better like in a week or two. But he said I needed a lifestyle change because I was not really taking care of myself. I'm a recovering addict. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't eating right. I just was not in the best health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. All that absolutely influenced why my body was shutting down. So I came to discover that my liver is smaller than the average size liver. So it has to work harder to get rid of toxins from the air, from what I breathe, eat, touch. It couldn't handle all the toxicity that my body was absorbing. And that's why it started shutting down, in addition to me not being in my best health. So I thought that I was going to get better in a week or two. And it took almost a year, Keena.
Oh,
I was
wow.
on bed rest for almost a year, so I could not go back to my job. I ran through all my sick leave, paid time off, even my retirement account, like I think 9 months into being in bed rest. So by month 8, I need to do something. That way I have a roof over our head, because I was the breadwinner when I was with my first husband. He even worked 2 jobs and it still wasn't enough. Like the money that I brought in was enough to keep the roof over our head. So I started looking for work at home jobs online, because I was on bed rest. And back then there it was like I said, it was very far few in between. Matter of fact, saw an ad for a work at home opportunity. I didn't know the difference between a work at home opportunity and a work at home job. And this person ended up being the catalyst to where I am today. I had a call with her and I told her, I was really looking for a work at home job because I need money right now. She's like, and I told her about my situation. She was like, you know what do you have to lose? And I was like, you know what? You're right. I mean, I don't think things can get any worse than they were. And that's when I was introduced to the whole online space. The opportunity was healthcare benefits for people to supplement their insurance. And it was a network marketing company, which I had no prior experience with. I heard of Amway and stuff like that, but like I said, I didn't know anything about anything. But since I had so much time on my hand, I tried to be my best at network marketing, but what was required of me was like in-person networking events, going door to door, and I couldn't do any of that. And I told her I can't do any of that. And even her upline was saying like, you're probably not going to be able to, this isn't going to pan out for you. And that like lit a fire because I was like, no, there's got to be a way to do this. And while I was researching online, learning about sales and marketing, learning about business, I came across I mean, these guys are big in the online space, really big back then, but online marketers that actually helped people in network marketing um build a business, whether they got people into their opportunity or not with info products, basically. We see this today. It's in abundance today, but back then it was not in abundance. So that's how I got into this space. Like I got obsessed with marketing. I was able to build, a business from the ground up pretty quickly within 6 months. And I veered away from the network marketing company because as I got more educated, I realized that I really didn't, it really wasn't my company. I wanted my own company. So I veered off, started my own company, started teaching people in any network marketing company how to build a business online, which was very rare back then. That's how I got into this.
Wow. Almost knocking on death's door, really,
Yep.
from your illness.
Yep.
And you're good now. I mean, it's 2024. So,
Hmm.
as far as health wise, and I'm sure you probably made the adjustments
Oh
to
yeah. Oh
stay
yeah.
healthy.
I mean, I of course I did, and it took a long
Mhm.
time.
Okay.
It took a long time. But despite all of that, like my symptoms started coming back in I was doing good for a while, and then my symptoms started coming back in 2013. And
Okay.
that was like when I was, earning, $10,000, $15,000 a month, but I was working 80 hours a week in my
Oh,
business. I really wasn't
okay.
taking care of myself like I was before. So I started
Ouch.
feeling those symptoms again. And
Okay.
I had gained 30 pounds. I was consuming sugar. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't present with my family, even though I was
Okay.
working at home.
Mhm.
And that's when I decided I was going to take a step back from my business because I didn't recognize myself in the mirror and I didn't want a repeat of what happened back in
Right.
2008 and maybe a repeat to where I actually end up dying. So it scared me straight. Like once I started realizing, oh, shoot, I'm not taking care of my health again.
Mhm.
I made that decision and it was hard, Keena. It was such a hard decision because I worked so darn hard for what I built in 2013. And but once I stepped away, I was glad I made that decision. I my plan was only for a year. Ended up
Mhm.
being two because I ended up getting pregnant.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
you know, with my youngest son. But my doctor, since I was already in my late 30s when I got pregnant, he already knew my history,
Okay.
so he was like, either you stay home, grow this baby, or you could miscarry, which I did have a couple of miscarries before,
Okay.
um, you know, a couple of years prior. I didn't even think I could have any more kids, honestly. And but yeah, Jordan, my youngest, came into the world and I made a promise to myself when I was ready to come back to business that I would never operate my business the way that I did before I took my break,
Mhm.
which is how my business foundation, my philosophy, how I help my clients is about you building your business around your life, not the other way around. So I'm all about you designing your version of an incredible life. And I tell
Yeah.
you, when I came back to business, I built my business because I had to scrap everything because what I was doing prior I didn't want to do it anymore. And I also wanted to work with the new audience people, which were moms, especially since I had a baby while I was building my business again. Like since I was in it, I was like, I know how to help people because I'm going through it too. I'm building a business and I have a baby. And that's when I actually hosted my first summit. It was the Ambitious Mom Summit, and that totally changed the game for me. I was able to get my business grew faster than it did during those first 5 years of my business in 90 days, which blew my mind. And I
Wow.
worked less, a lot less. Um, there's three things build my business from my life, not the other way around. Um, Low volume, high value. So I don't work with a lot of clients. I think the most I'll work with in a year is maybe 10 to 15, 20, but 10 to 15 will help me get to my baseline. And anything after that is an overflow of abundance. And working 20 to maybe 10 hours a week, it just really depends on what's going on. And actually doing less has allowed me to earn more in my business, be more thoughtful and intentional about what I do with my time, um, the type who I'm working with, spending time with my family because I also homeschool my youngest. So I have the flexibility to do that. I take a week off every month for my business, do something with my family, be present. So I had to make these major adjustments. And I know it's because of the experiences that I had prior. So because I went through it, my mission is to help people avoid it altogether. Um, a lot of my clients are people that have been in business for a while, but I also work with new people who just aren't great at marketing and sales. They might be great at coaching,
Mhm.
whether they're a life coach or financial coach, but marketing is a whole nother job in itself. you know, so it's easy for me. Yeah, it's something that I've immersed myself in since I got in online. So it hasn't stopped. The foundations are pretty much so the same. It's just tools change,
Mhm.
where people are focusing on changes online. Like I've seen it all. So I feel that I have like a knowledge base up here of experience and education and also being mentored to help people build a business around their life and not the other way around. Do it in a way that they do it it's their version of an incredible life. It's not what I think it should be or what it's theirs. So that's what I help people with. And that's how I've gotten to where I am today. And I truly feel blessed. Like I feel grateful, every time I share this story, for a moment I think, oh, it's not interesting, but I'm just like, that's my story though. Yeah.
That's, what do you mean it's not interesting? Really? I mean, yeah. And Stacey, you are amazing. And you didn't give up though. You could
No,
have just given up and just went back to going back to your prior career. You could have.
I could have, but
Yeah.
I had, what do you call it, a magnificent obsession.
Hmm.
There was a pull there, and I know I'm not sharing like every chapter between then and
That's
now, but
yeah.
so many challenges, so many tribulations. I had a period of being homeless. A very bad ending to my first marriage. Even my oldest son lived with my mom for a while. Like there was a lot. I relapsed. There's just so many things that happen, but I never wanted to give up. Even when my family, and when I mean my family, I mean my parents, they thought I was out of my mind. They were like, "What are you doing?" They don't feel that way now because
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of it. Um, they're very proud of me now, but when I was in the building, and this is why it's important to be surrounded around people who understand what you're building, invest in mentors, because there's going to be some family members that just don't get what you're doing because they only know what they know. If you're raised in a household, and just about everybody here in America, get your education, get a job.
Yeah.
Nobody, unless you're in the environment, nobody teaches you to build a business. I didn't even think it was an option. I didn't even think it was a possibility at all. Like it never even crossed my mind.
But you paved the way and
Yeah.
it's stepping outside of the norm
Oh
to
yeah,
just
it
get a
is. I
job. Who
mean,
does that?
yeah,
Yeah.
especially back then. Like the concept was just weird. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
still have to try to explain things to my dad, but I know he just doesn't get it. Same thing with my husband. I try to explain some things to him and he supports me, but he has no idea. He has no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
just like,
like,
"Oh, okay, this is why they say you need to get um an inner circle,
yeah.
mentors, coaches,
Mhm.
peers who
Mhm.
understand what you're building. Just like with anything else,
Right.
like if you want to build wealth, find mentors and peers that are already on that track, just starting because it's so important, especially look, I'm stubborn, I'm very independent. I want to figure things out on my own, but sometimes that happens to a fault, you know,
Okay.
when you're too independent and trying to do things on your own, which I'm not discouraging that. I think it's empowering, especially if you know that
Mhm.
you're a self-learner, self-starter, you're curious, but you gotta, we gotta remember that we only have our perspective. And yeah, we can read books, watch movies, listen to podcasts, and get other people's perspective to help expand our awareness around things that we want to improve or whether it's in our lives or in our business. But when you actually work with someone, because I tried not to get a coach for a very long time, and it was finally in 2000 when I came back to business, I made sure I was going to have a mentor.
Okay.
And that changed everything because I was actually able to have conversations with this person. There was a back and forth. They helped me see things differently. They pushed me in ways that I could never do on my own. They see possibility in me that I can't even see yet. And I'm the same way. Like I see so many possibilities for everybody that I work with. Like I can
Mhm.
see beyond like where they can see. Um, because I know it's possible for them. And so I think it's great to have people in your corner, especially during these early stages, especially if you have a career and you're building your side business,
Mhm.
even if you have no plans to leave your career, you know, it's very important because most people will not understand what you're building.
That is so true.
Again, like I
And then,
said, unless they're already in
yeah,
business or they've been raised in a household of entrepreneurship. But yeah, it's very important because it's easy to get discouraged. Believe
it
me,
is.
I've had so many times I've wanted to quit.
I'm sure you
So
have.
many, like just roll the laptop across the
Yeah.
wall, on the wall, just being like, I'm done, I'm done. But that hunger, that craving, that calling inside,
Mhm.
it it won't let me quit. It won't let me quit. Like I said, it's
And
an obsession.
wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you building your business when you came back, now you have a baby.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It
you're
was a
like, okay,
blur. I
yeah.
like when I look back, I'm like, those 2 years after I came back, they were a blur. Like I've watched old videos, like they're still up on Facebook and all over social media, but I'd have JoJo with me, while I'm doing live streams. He's screaming in the back, banging on stuff, I had him with me all the time. Like he was my little baby just clinging on to me. And I was watching this, it's like that time was a blur, because sleep deprived because of, you know,
Right.
that's one of the things that motherhood, that's what happens with motherhood. You learn to go without sleep. But I did make sure that I took care of my health. I made sure that I did rest. Of course, my husband helped out. I made sure we had fun. I made sure that, no matter what was going on in my business, I would take a week off, so I could actually live. Because one thing that I've learned, one of the many things that I've learned is like your version of an incredible life, it's not some far off place. It's what you
Mhm.
decide to do with your time now, like right now, this very moment. Um, Matter of fact, I feel like because I've shifted my perspective on that, that's why I've been able to have the success that I've had, is because I'm not thinking like I got to do this first and then I can do that. Like I'm at a place to where I'm already in my future self's mindset.
Okay.
And this is scary for a lot of people, and it's scary for me. Like when we moved to Colorado, we didn't plan for it. It was like we visited and I fell in love with it. And I was like, I want to live here. And I lived in Texas all my life. Um, I wasn't born there, but that's where all my memories have been.
Mhm.
But when we decided we were going to move up here, there was no plan. Like, matter of fact, we were like, okay, let's take a week to find a place. We couldn't find a place because it was just so in demand here. A complete opposite of what happens in Texas. You can find a place
Mhm.
anytime, don't
Yes,
matter.
true.
Here, people were saying you need 2, 3 months, 4 months in advance because properties, rentals go fast. And they weren't
Mhm.
lying. And we didn't renew our lease on our apartment in Texas. So we were already like on the verge of like, where are we gonna live? But things worked out. What ended up happening like an hour before we were headed back to Texas, I found a listing, it popped up, and I called the person, and that was the person that had a property available for us to rent out. It would be ready for us, within 3 weeks. So that was scary, especially with a 6 month old. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, I guess we could have lived with my dad, but I didn't want to do any of that. I love my dad, but you know,
Yeah.
I didn't want to
You,
do any of that. But in
and
my
do
mind,
that.
I was like thinking, we're going to be homeless. We are going to be homeless. And
Right.
this is scary. Investing in coaches, I invested my first $10,000 that I invested in. I had like maybe $50 in the bank. Matter of fact,
Okay.
I ended up working at a bar temporarily
Hmm.
to pay for the coaching. And it was a hole in the wall bar. Like I was so happy to get out of there, but I had to think differently. I couldn't think, oh, this isn't possible. Like what can I do? What do I have control over? And then there's also faith, taking a leap of faith, which is scary. It is scary because you have
Yeah.
to trust. There's a trust involved. And if you're the type of person that wants to control everything, um, it's hard to do.
Hmm. And having the determination and that goal, like you're not gonna let that goal just fall,
No.
by the wayside or push it back, and let something else come in its place. But you had a determination, and for that woman professional who wants to do it, I mean, you can do that. You can have a career, you can build your business, and have a family.
Yeah, you can
And
do
there's
whatever you want.
prospects. Yeah, you really can. But now, there's so many tools out here nowadays to help with time management, but a mentor and a coach definitely can
Oh
help
yeah.
you
Hmm.
excel, really. And you have to be that coachable person too. I mean, just having a coach and a
Yeah.
mentor means a lot, but you also have to be coachable. So would you agree with
Ooh,
that?
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's true. You have to be coachable because there was a lot that I didn't want to do, but I had to trust, my coach. And I'm glad
Okay.
that I did. I'm glad that I listened because if I didn't, I wouldn't have the skill sets that I have now. I wouldn't be where I am now. Like I had to trust myself and I had to trust my mentor's advice. And there were times where of course I procrastinated. Of course I scared and backed out. Of course I tried to do things another way, but it didn't work. And then finally when I was like, you know what? I need to listen. I need to be the
Yeah.
student. I can't always be the teacher,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
Um, my clients, sometimes I'm the student. I learn from them because they're incredible. They're incredible people. I don't know it all, So the relationship between your coach or mentor and you, I think it should be a dance of being a student or teacher, because it creates some type of synergy to help you come up with ideas that you most likely wouldn't have come up with on your own. If
Hmm.
you have somebody that is several steps ahead of you, or even a few steps, that
Right.
makes a difference because that helps you cut down on the learning curve and avoid some mistakes,
Hmm.
But I think what's most important when it comes to choosing a coach or mentor is like what is their philosophy? I'm not saying like you have to have the exact same beliefs as that person because my coach that I have, like we don't like I don't think I would hang out with them on a regular basis. Like we would not be
Right.
best friends. Even, that's not the case, but her energy, her leadership, what she knows, how she lives her life, it's very attractive.
Got it.
Not saying I can be her, but
Hmm.
she just opened my mind up to what's possible. What's possible for me.
Yeah.
That's what I love
And
about coaches or mentors because they can
yeah.
help you see like what's possible because sometimes you
Hmm.
can't see it.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just can't. Like if I went back in time to my past version, my 2008 version, and I told me the life that I'm living now, I wouldn't believe it.
You wouldn't believe it, right?
Never.
Well, you
Yeah.
sharing your story and being transparent, you just gave that woman professional inspiration. You inspired me, definitely, because
Mhm.
now it's like, okay, I don't have to do this by myself. And this is what
Mm-mm.
can happen if I try to do this by myself. You're gonna sacrifice family
Yeah.
or your health or both,
Yeah.
but you don't have to.
No, you don't. And
Yeah.
That's my message, is that you don't, because what is rampant online is hustle culture.
Hmm.
I think more and more people, because a lot of people have burned themselves out, burned their adrenal glands. People have built things that they don't even want. Think about that, building a multi-million dollar company and realizing I don't like what I've built, but they keep doing the same thing because they don't know to do anything else. Like that is awful. I didn't get to multi-million dollars before I came to that realization, but I've worked with clients that they've done that. And now they're afraid to make changes because of the financial benefits,
Hmm.
but we have to look beyond money. Like, where's our happiness? Are we
Right.
taking care of ourselves? Are we taking care of the relationships that we have in our lives?
Hmm.
That's what's most important to me, especially during the season. Now, I get, like, when you start a business, you of course we're going to focus on the money, but yeah, that's a given. We have businesses. We're supposed to earn money from our businesses. So I understand that is the main focus, but there comes a point after the money is consistent, you got the foundation down, that it's not the most important. So what I like to do is help my clients, like, see, like, what is it that they really want. If you are earning the money that you're earning, that you desire to earn, like, what would you be doing with your life? And we start building around that.
Okay.
Um, and because I need to know that first. I need to know, like, what does success look like for them in order for me to properly help them? Because I want them to be clear on that and confident on that, because that's what's going to motivate them to keep being coachable,
Yes.
and being motivated to follow through on getting to whatever their version of incredible life is. I think that's the most important, because, like, the way that I work with people, it's not cookie cutter. Now, the methodology that I designed, that's no matter who uses that methodology, you can play within it. A lot of people don't know about the foundation that needs to be built to have a sustainable and profitable business for the long term, which
Mhm.
is where I come in. And all of my clients, like, how they use the framework, and I call it the foundation.
The
Um,
foundation.
they all use it differently. It's dependent on their lifestyle, how they define success. And because there's a lot of cookie cutter information out there, like, it doesn't work. Believe me, I've tried it. I've tried it a lot. It doesn't work. There needs to be your I always call it, like, the soul. The soul of your business needs to be aligned with your version of incredible life, because if it isn't, you might end up building something that you don't love. You might end up working more than necessary. I'm all about working smarter, not harder, you know. Um, yeah, I know I've been rambling, but
That's okay.
yeah, I
No,
just
because
have
you
so
sharing
many
it is
thoughts on it.
good. You're giving us good nuggets and gems. I mean, really, I mean, we need to hear it. I mean, you see people building the business and you see the success, but you don't really see behind the scenes. You need to know what's
No,
behind the
and
scenes. Yeah,
no, and that is and it's a
that's enough.
trick.
Yeah, it's a trick. And
It's
I
a
know that's a
trick.
whole nother
It's a
topic.
trick. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a whole nother topic, because most people really just share their highlight reels.
yeah.
You don't know what's
And
going
that,
on in the back end of their lives. You don't know if their relationships are fulfilled. You don't know what areas they need improving if they want to. You have no idea if that person is a psychopath. I mean, you just don't know. So instead of focusing on what other people are doing. Now, when it comes to choosing a mentor, like I said, you want to make sure there's some things that are desirable, and, like, your values don't have to line up 100%, even though I think it is nice. But I think you can learn from somebody that doesn't, their values aren't the same as yours, but they have some areas that you can pull from, that you know that you can get help from.
Right.
I forgot what my whole
Mhm.
point was. What was I going to say?
As far
Oh,
as behind
about
the scenes,
like,
yeah.
don't be paying attention to what other people are doing
Mhm.
because I know it is human nature to be like, what's going on over there? What's going on over there?
Right. It
Don't
is.
do it. Focus on you. Focus on what you want. Focus on your vision. Yes, tunnel vision.
Really,
Because I
you got to
tell you,
keep
it's
that.
going to make you feel a certain way.
Mhm.
And studies, data shows that being on social media all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
I've
Yeah,
been
me
there.
too. I once I
Yeah,
realized I'm
been there.
like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get in and out.
Mhm.
Um, it's not great for our mental health. We start
No.
comparing ourselves. We start thinking like, oh, I want their life. We don't know
Right.
what their life is like. Just because they might have the material things does not mean they're any happier.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I've
That is,
been dirt poor and I've made a lot of money. And I tell you, for a moment, yeah, it's nice, but after a while, it's like, this isn't it.
okay.
This isn't it. And I know, look, here's the thing. When I would hear people that were financially well say something like that, I'd be like, well, yeah, that's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Like, I want
You
to
have to.
find out myself. Well, guess what? I messed around and found out, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's not worth my life. It's not worth my relationship. So, how can I rebuild this in a way to where yes, I get the financial benefits, but beyond that,
Right.
I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better
Mhm.
human. I want to be a better
Right.
wife, you know. So my business has allowed me to actually do those things
That's
on my
awesome.
terms.
Yeah.
And that's the powerful thing about having a business.
Hmm.
It changes you. It literally changes you. I've had people say it's like a spiritual journey.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you put in it of who you are.
Yeah.
So your business will line up with who you are and
Yeah.
what you can.